What's up everybody, Nonpon here, and we've had some interesting developments when it comes to 5-star Mauxir. Now, the website I'm using right here is snowbreak.gg. This page on the GG website is managed by my good friend Vikyush. Vikyush is very active in the Snowbreak Discord. He creates tier lists and covers any kind of news regarding Snowbreak. If you're looking to get updates about Snowbreak in real time, you can use this website as a good reference. I know this guy stays up pretty late just to make sure that we get the latest news both on the CN side and on the global side. So thanks to Vikyush, I am able to actually talk about 5-star Mauxir because he has all the information placed for me to talk about. However, I am doing this blind. This is not scripted, so I'll kind of give you guys my ideas and my perspective on how effective she will be as we go along in the video. So let's go ahead and cover her ability preview. Her ability, well, she gets a nice little puppet this time. No orb. The orb is now a character, I guess. His name is Kapitchet? I don't know, kind of a weird name. But yeah, we have a little familiar to help us out now. Let's see here. So I actually vaguely remember this being posted on the Snowbreak Global Twitter. However, since then they have removed it, and not all this information is final. However, from what I'm led to believe, she will have very similar damage transfers just like her 4-star variant, especially on her support skill. But we'll cover things one at a time here. Her standard skill, Dance of the Undead, is a wind-up ability that uses stamina. You can throw this little doll thing at the enemies, and you can hit multiple targets at once. What you can also do is you can hold down the button and just walk around and spin around with this ability. I'm not sure if you can actually walk around or not, but that does consume stamina for more damage. So the skill description here is throw a Kapitchet projectile at the target, exploding on hit and doing chaos damage. Hold to charge up the ability, making the projectile travel farther and do more damage, as well as knocking enemies up in the air. While charging, nearby enemies are knocked back but stamina is consumed. So I wonder if it would be more optimal to use your entire bar of stamina or just to throw it as fast as possible. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that works there. But it looks like it could be a very effective ability, especially for mobbing. It doesn't look like it's going to be too crazy for single target. However, it does look like this will be considered a control effect, similar to 4-star Frisia's ability. So that means that she can get mileage off Navigator, maybe. Let's see here. Support skill, Vein Squeezing Bind. Now this one is probably her most interesting ability here. And it's not Mauxir unless there's a wall of text that comes along with her, right? So this ability, she throws out kind of like a familiar for you to shoot, and the damage will transfer over to the target. Now, this is very similar to 4-star Mauxir's orb ability. However, there are some caveats when it comes to shooting the orb, such as you can't hit weak spots on the orb, so that means you could potentially do less damage. The orb was very specific in what mileage you can get along with it. So I'm not sure how this one's going to work in particular, but it looks like when you finish shooting the familiar and it takes enough damage, it will explode and hurt the target even more. So maybe it's like similar to a break meter in other games I've played, like other gacha games when there's a break meter and once you do enough damage, it explodes and hurts the target more. Probably something similar to that. As we go on here, it says throw a Kapitchet projectile at the target, marking the target and 3 other sub-targets. All targets marked will take chaos damage over time. Doing damage to the Kapitchet projectile will transfer a portion of the damage to the main target. Actually, cannot switch onto the field while the skill is active, so she can't use it for herself. Now this is interesting because it looks like she can mark up to 4 targets at once, 1 main target and 3 other sub-targets. So it's very similar to her orb, I feel like, except now this orb can damage multiple enemies, not just one. It's very interesting. I'm not sure what the damage proportion will be though. That's going to be what makes or breaks it. Because with her orb ability as it is currently, you do have to go through defense twice. And that's why sometimes you do reduce damage against the main target. But there is something else. If this projectile, this Kibitchit projectile, can be debuffed alongside with the enemies, that's going to be huge because one of Mauxir's shining achievements, sorry, I can't talk, is that she can double dip when it comes to debuffs. She can debuff the dummy projectile and she can debuff the main target. So we'll have to see how that plays out as well. Ultimate Syndical Collapse. Now, let's see how this one works here. Looks like she shoots out kind of like a triangle beam over here. And I do remember on the Twitter page, this beam would slow down targets similar to Akasha Redacted's slow. Like not reducing movement speed, but actually slowing the target down with the debuff status. Which is really huge because as of right now, there's not a single boss that is immune to being slow. Which means that if you use Navigator and inflict the slow debuff, they can take 14% more damage. So that's something that's very interesting. I'm not sure if she'll be as good at doing that as Redacted, as this looks like it's an ultimate, and Redacted's is a support ability, so you can't do it as often. But we don't know how the neuron skills are going to work yet, so we'll see how those affect her playstyle moving forward. So, in this description here, it says, attack a target enemy, knocking up enemies and slowing them, doing chaos damage. After a delay, the explosion will detonate at the target's location, dealing AoE chaos damage. Okay, seems like a straightforward attack with no strings attached other than slowing down the target. She does have her Duo's alignment here. What Duo's alignment does she get along with her passive? Let's see here. Active operatives gain 1 stack of dialectic every second. After reaching a certain number of stacks, the next shot fire will consume all stacks to make a guaranteed critical hit that does bonus damage. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess this is going to be a moment where you can actually shoot a main body and get a critical hit for it for free, which will be very useful for when you're attacking her familiar as opposed to the main target. But will that be as effective as just shooting the weak point? I'm not sure. Mauxir's going to be in this weird spot because it's going to be difficult to know how effective she'll be because on one hand, if you use her debuff and you can do more damage shooting the familiar, that takes away from the gameplay experience because if the target's moving around all over the place, why would you shoot them when you can shoot this thing that does more damage? The thing that balances her out on her 4-star variant is that you can do reduced damage against something that moves around a lot. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but I am curious. Mauxir is always a textbook when it comes to her abilities. So I think we only really know 15% of her kit right now. Because when you actually start messing around with a character like this, you discover more things as you go along. So we'll have to see. So far, I'm more impressed. I'm actually more positive than I am negative about her abilities. But also, I'm a bit biased. It also is very nice that we have a Chaos type support character. It seems like she'll be more of a support than a main DPS, but we'll see. Speaking of which, let's move over to her weapons here. Let's see. Featured weapon ally truce details. It's going to be a 45 magazine, not in the 900, ready to fire. We don't have exact skill descriptions at the moment, but it looks like she will increase her own HP, which is good. And on top of that, let's see. Upon entering battle, the equip operative immediately gains advocate stacks. When you're at max stacks, gain 1 stack every second. Okay. Let's see. When the equip operative support skill is used, the entire team gains the follower buffs for X seconds. What does follower buffs do? Increase attack based on the equipped operative's max HP multiplied by the number of stacks. And increase critical damage. Now, critical damage is huge. That is actually a huge buff because similar to Xinqing or 5-star Xinqing, if you increase your crit damage, it does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage. Follower buffs cannot be obtained while an existing follower buff is active. That makes sense, and only one can be active at once. Okay. So the fact that she can increase attack and crit damage, which is something we do not get very often right now, is a huge factor. So I'm wondering how that's going to play out, on top of the fact that she can provide guaranteed critical hits. We'll have to see. For her well, I shouldn't say this is her specific logistics, but usually, more often than not, the new logistics is good for the current limited banner character. Most of the time. Usually it's like an extra option, as opposed to just it being their best choice. But it looks like over here, it already is off to a good start by increasing max HP by a certain percent. Since Allied Truth helps out with Mauxir here with the HP, we'll have to see how well that will be. So increasing max HP is already a good start. 3-set piece here will receive a River Valley buff, more buffs, okay. Will increase ballistic damage. While River Valley buff is active, if the operative support skill deals damage, active operatives will also receive another buff, which increases attack. When the River Valley buff expires, the on sight will also be removed. So she does have a good variety of buffs at her disposal. I think the only thing she's not really raising is elemental damage, like chaos damage or a specific type of element type. Because it looks like she's raising attack, she's raising ballistic damage, and she's even raising critical damage, which is insane, right? And she also provides a flat critical rate to get a critical hit. So she's definitely providing a variety of buffs, and nothing's going to get too deleted from diminishing returns, because if you do buff a certain type of stat too much, it starts to have diminishing returns, and you're not going to get as much mileage from buffing it. So that is also very interesting. So overall, you guys already know I'm very excited for this character. However, I'm not going to know how this character plays out until I obtain her, and on top of that, when I do have her, I probably still will not understand how she works, because that's how this character works. But I will do my best when I get her to see how effective we can use her and what kind of builds we can develop with her along the way. We still don't know what her neurons will be, we still don't know what her manifestations will be, and there's a lot of information we need to know before we can go forward. But I just want to give you guys an update on everything that's Mauxir at the current moment. If you would like to use this website for yourself, I will put a link to it in the description. Please give credit to Vikyush, especially if you see them in the Discord, because they do a lot of hard work, and they do provide this information to us all in one easy-to-find location. So thank you again, Vikyush, for doing this for us, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm sorry this one was a bit longer, but we'll, like I said, all be part of a summer vacation very soon. You all take care, have a lovely weekend,